Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do something a little different. Today we are going to have a top 10 countdown for tips and tricks for a relatively new game called Backpack Hero. Backpack Hero is a roguelike dungeon crawler game where the main mechanic is inventory management. You start with a fairly limited backpack, and over time you add space through leveling up. All the while you are bombarded with new items such as weapons, armors, potions, and the like. This countdown is in no particular order, but it covers some general tips that helped me play through this game. With that, we will jump into number 10, keeping keys. This might seem like a fairly simple idea at first, but I found on many occasions there were treasures locked behind a door. Generally, these chests don't contain anything special, but you can easily find that one item that will complete your hero for that run. Oftentimes, these chests contain additional keys, so in my opinion, why not go for the locked chest if you can get a key back? It's basically free loot at that point. You can also come across items that give you bonuses based on the number of keys you have. And lastly, after every boss, there is a locked door that you can open with the key that'll open up into a different level that you would have otherwise had no access to. Think of it as like skipping ahead to the next level, so you're skipping one level to go to the next one. Moving on to number 9, maximizing bonuses. A lot of the armor you will come across gives you additional armor bonuses to other armors and weapons. Keep this in mind as you expand your backpack and rearrange your items. If you expand too high, you might have a hard time getting the bonuses for the helmet and the boots at the same time. Also pay close attention to the location bonuses. Some armors need to be adjacent while others need to be diagonal. This leads into the next entry in our list, number 8, rotating effectively. This ability seems oftentimes overlooked. Rotating items can be a big help in getting all the bonuses, particularly for weapons due to their shape. If you turn a weapon on its side instead of straight up, this will allow you to touch multiple items along the top or bottom row. As for the armor, the main chest pieces are usually 2x2, so rotating them doesn't really help that much. However, the boots you can rotate and you can still get the bonus for them. Up next is number 7, which is choosing your weapons. I've always found choosing your weapons early on is the best option. Trying to switch late game, particularly from a sword to a bow, can be very difficult. My suggestion is to pick up your desired weapon early on and build up around that weapon with whatever gems and armor you can find. I also wouldn't overload with too many weapons at the same time. The only exception to that is the cleaver, because you can get multiple bonuses from having several cleavers at the same time. Lastly, I usually keep 1 or 2 single slot items on hand to finish off low health enemies. Something like a shiv can be really handy, especially since they cost nothing to attack. Continuing on to number 6, beefing up weapons. This is kind of related to number 7, but the main point is to rearrange your items in a way that give the most bonuses, particularly for your weapons. With the right combo, you can get a weapon to do 30 or more per hit. When you expand your backpack, keep this in mind and keep the space around your weapons free to add new items as you find them. Moving on to number 5, selling items for extra coins. I will oftentimes scout ahead looking for shops and other places to spend money. If you're lucky enough to get more than one shop, you can sell any extra items to that shop. I usually don't spend my coins in the shop unless I can get something really valuable. My coins typically go to the blacksmith or the healer. You can get some pretty good bonuses from either of them. The healer can increase your maximum health or remove curses in addition to healing, whereas the blacksmith can buff your weapons and armor. When I know I'm about to go to a shop, I will load up on any extra items and just sell them. The one downfall is each shop will only buy 3 items, so keep this in mind when you're trying to sell your most expensive items. Up next is number 4. Consider light and heavy objects. This is for a subset of objects that either float to the top or sink to the bottom. If you try to keep your backpack completely squared off, these items are going to be a pain to use. I found that keeping your backpack staggered a little can help you use floating items. This can be particularly powerful when you combine this idea with rotating weapons. It's very possible to get several floating objects in close proximity to a weapon turned on its side. As for the heavy weapons, just keep as much space open as possible at the bottom. Things like structures need several adjacent structures to get any meaningful bonus, so keep that in mind. The only real issue could be the boots. It's because the boots need more spaces above them to get a higher bonus. You're better off, in general, expanding out to the side first rather than going for height. And coming in at number 3, we have status effects. Always keep in mind any status effects you have, especially in the later levels, like poison and fire, as they can build up relatively fast. It's helpful to have a potion that can remove those status effects. Those potions are fairly common, so keep a few spaces open for those potions. However, keep in mind that when you use those potions, it'll remove positive effects like regen and spikes. Speaking of spikes, watch out for enemies that use this effect. It can be very easy to lose track of those numbers and end up dead because of it. At number 2, we have mana stones and connectivity. These are basically items that use a different kind of energy outside of your main one. When used properly, they can add a little bit of extra shield or damage when needed. It's possible to use only weapons that utilize the mana stones, but you have to be careful because the mana does not reset until the end of combat. There are items that can add to the mana pool after getting a kill or simply by using your regular energy. Unless you find those items, I would always keep a regular weapon on hand. In the later levels, you can find large mana stones that have more energy in the same space. Items that use mana need to be connected to the mana stones in order to work. Keep that in mind when building out your backpack. Also, keep an eye out for conductive weapons and armor. This basically means that mana stone energy can pass through those items. This can be particularly useful when rearranging items. And finally, at number 1, leave space for curses. It's inevitable that you will get a few curses throughout a game. They're not fun, but you need to keep a few open spaces to allow the intake of curses. This game does have an option to skip the curse and take the damage instead. This can really only work early on, because as you progress, the damage taken increases to the point where it is not sustainable. And in some cases, you are given multiple curses in the same fight. Leave something like a 2x2 square that you can use in the event that it's needed. It's not to say you need to always leave it open. You could keep an additional key or extra potion in that spot that you would be okay with parting with in the event that you did get a curse. And that wraps up our list for today. Leave a comment down below if you think I missed anything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya!